Hey everybody, today's video is going to be a little bit different. Over the past 3 days, I've sought to film a video for today, and due to personal situation and other things going on, I just could not get a video going to where I was satisfied with it. However, I do want to offer something. So what I'm going to be doing is reading a few things from the Star Wars fiction for you to kind of consider and seek how you might apply it to your life as a Jedi. These are going to be from a couple different sources, such as the Power of the Jedi sourcebook, as well as the Jedi Apprentice series, namely the Rising Force book, as well as one of the comic books. So I'm going to begin with the Power of the Jedi sourcebook, and I'm going to just read in regards to the challenge of temptation. Temptation poses the greatest threat to a Jedi, and the fall of a Jedi Knight often begins with one rationalized decision or errant choice. Temptation takes a myriad of forms. The simplest urges the Jedi to provide an easy answer to a complex question. The answer might be immediately satisfying, but creates long-term problems. Okay, that's from the book. I'm gonna add a little personal commentary here, such as getting a fake suicide threat in order for the Jedi to forcefully pull back an ex who broke up with that person back into the relationship. The answer, it's a very complex situation, and it seems very easy to pull in someone close to the situation, someone who's quote-unquote responsible for the situation, but really what you're doing is you're providing a short-term answer and acting against someone who of their own free will left a toxic relationship. Continuing on, back to the book. Another form of temptation comes from the power of adulation and the threat of success itself. Accepting personal rewards is dangerous for a Jedi, for it inspires belief in his own abilities that might exceed the truth. In effect, the Jedi comes to believe his own hype. The Jedi learns that true satisfaction comes from the sense of well-being within, not from the approval of others. So the number of likes you get, the number of subscriptions you get on YouTube here, while I certainly appreciate it, is not a way to judge your own abilities, and it's not something to seek for. Why do I do this? It's not for likes, right? Why do we live the Jedi path? It's because we find it to be beneficial and positive in our own lives and the world around us, not because people are clapping us on the back and like throwing money at us or whatever. Okay, I gotta find a way to distinguish between. I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious when I'm talking and when the book's talking. All right, whatever. Continuing on. A third form of temptation is the nature of power itself. The Jedi have been established as a force of good, which keeps them from using their abilities to rule the masses. This is an extremely powerful temptation, because Jedi often face ignorance and folly in their daily lives. The Jedi can be tempted to deal with such folly, yet once that kind of interference starts, it soon escalates to a point where a Jedi encourages the very ignorance he once fought against, in the name of ruling others for their own best interest. So again, as a Jedi, through your training, you're going to see things a little bit differently. You're going to begin to see the world a little bit differently, and you might be able to foresee, if you will, a bad result coming from a decision. But Jedi respect life and Jedi respect free will. You are not allowed to dictate another person's life. You're not allowed to make decisions for them. They have to come to the conclusions on their own. You can talk with them, you can ask questions, you can provide information, but you cannot force your better judgment, quote unquote, onto someone else. Grab a couple quotes here from the Rising Force book, which is part of the Jedi Apprentice series. The first one is by Qui-Gon Jinn, and it states, "You cannot force people to be just and decent. Such qualities must arise from within." The next quote is from Obi-Wan Kenobi, a few pages later. It states, "We cannot try to right every wrong. All creatures must learn to stand for what is right, and not always rely upon the Jedi." Jedi Joshua and myself back in 2000 used to have a saying, which was, "Jedi help others to help themselves." That it was important for people not to always rely on the Jedi, and that it was just as important for Jedi to teach self-reliance. There's two important sayings that we're drawing from here. First is, you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So you can try to teach someone, or you can try to help someone, but if they have no desire to change, if they have no desire to learn, if they have no desire to grow, then you could put out the best wisdom in the best form, and it won't matter, because change and help, these things have to be wanted in order for them to take root. And the other saying is, teach a man to fish, and he eats for a lifetime. Give a man a fish, and he eats for a day. And the idea there, of course, is you want to teach people to be self-reliant. You don't want to just give the immediate gratification of an answer. When you give people the answer, it doesn't stick. That was actually a real big problem with my teaching style when I first started the Jedi Academy Online back in 2007, was that I was very much about giving the answers and not so much about helping people achieve their own answers on their own. And that created problems in the end, as you would imagine. So, and that is a problem in the Jedi community. A lot of people try to give you the answers instead of allowing you to explore and experience and kind of come to your own conclusions about the Jedi path. The last quote we have here is from Obi-Wan Kenobi, from the Obi-Wan and Anakin comic. It's from issue number 1. And it states, "The Jedi can guide. We can teach. We can help people to help themselves. But we are not an army. If a people are truly determined to write themselves out of existence, there is little we can do." And this really sums up what we were just talking about, and kind of what me and Josh were establishing, or trying to establish, back in 2000, 2001. And that was simply that you can't force people to be good, especially if they're not Jedi. You can't place your morals and your values of life onto other people. Of course, when you're respecting free will, there's always addendums to be had. Abusive situations, extreme cases such as violence, or life-threatening cases. Obviously, there's always various situations that one could think about where you're going to have to enforce your will on a situation. And Jedi like to nitpick and debate, so I'm sure someone was already kind of thinking of that argument as I've been talking, but it's really just a common sense in these kind of things. You don't have to agree with someone's decision. You don't have to like someone's decision. You can lament someone's decision, knowing that it's going to simply lead to heartache or more problems down the road. But ultimately, you cannot force anybody to live by your choices and live the life you would want for them. You're going to have to respect a person's free will to make their own choices. And that can be really hard, especially when it comes to people we really care about, because we want the best for them, and we want to be a part of their life, and we want to be part of the reason they succeed. and we want to just see them happy and living a very successful life, and we can see them making decisions that might not that we feel won't lead to those outcomes, and or when they choose to leave our lives, that can be a very difficult thing to kind of come to terms with. So you just have to be willing to respect people and respect life and respect the choices they make, even if you don't agree with them. It's about being a friend. It's about being supportive and being a Jedi. You make your life choices by the path that you follow. You make your life decisions by the lifestyle you live. That goes for everybody. And if they're not a Jedi, then they're not beholden to your ideals. They're not beholden to our philosophy. So that is their choice, and that should be respected as much as possible. Again, there's caveats to that, but rarely are we faced with those kind of decisions in everyday life. And this is really always about living as a Jedi in your everyday life, about the things that you're going to face on a daily basis. So those are just a few quotes to keep in mind, and think about how they apply in your life. Do you find them applicable to your life? Do you find them practical, beneficial, and positive? How do you feel that maybe those quotes help shape offline Jedi and real world Jedi, things like that? So those are just things to keep in mind, and that's really all I have for the video, if we can call it a video. So thank you for listening, I guess, is what we're going with today. You know where the buttons are, so you can like, dislike, subscribe, unsubscribe, because you're like, I signed up for YouTube videos, not a wannabe podcast. Yeah, so thank you, and may the Force be with you.